One of the things that we talk about, especially in the real estate profession in particular, is a very vital service. Like one of the things I was actually thinking about as I'm putting together my money lunch conversation we'll be talking about is, with 2/3 of American wealth being in home and land ownership, it's an important thing for people looking to acquire wealth to have not just the home they live in, but some real estate in their portfolio. But you find a lot of people, combination, education, access, things that they know, things that they don't know, wanting something, having it as a part of the American dream, but not knowing how to get it. Does that make sense?
Right.
So, in your position as an agent, you'll find people that come to you literally wanting to buy, but not able to qualify. And in some cases, not able to qualify and telling them to go away and come back better. If they don't get some help, they'll be in the same situation. Like the best they know how to do is what has them where they are. So we talk about making wealth real, especially from a mortgage and real estate perspective. It's a way of helping people do some things that they might not have been able to do. Making sense so far?
Yeah.
So let me get this guy going we'll just start from the top. And really focusing on closing and selling more homes and having the people that buy the homes be homeowners able to do more because they know more. All right. And just a background about Making Wealth Real Financial, the company was actually founded in 2013. And the executive team, if you look across the 4 pillars of our system, and I'll talk about what that means later, but they have a combined 75 years of experience. The company's 100% debt free. And I think because of the unique situation we're in the economy with right now, we are growing at a record pace. And the headquarters is right in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. People usually want to know something about where we are. And what we provide, our membership is called the Financial Edge. So Financial Edge is the name of the one service that we provide. And is designed to be a comprehensive financial services solution that gives people literally the edge they didn't have. So the 4 components of Financial Edge: Credit Max, Equity Max, Money Max, Wealth Max. Credit Max, Equity Max, Money Max, Wealth Max. And when you give your client a Financial Edge, it costs, the cost is $79.97 per month. And that includes both members in a married couple. So say, for example, you got, I know for certain, Andrew Shaw, he's one of my friends from, I've known him for at least 20 years. As he's grown up from a teenager, he and his wife recently had kids. They're getting ready to buy a home for the first time. And Andrew was worried about his credit and her credit, and them both being able to qualify. So it does cover the spouse. And we start off with credit because that's usually the area where people have 2 things: the most ignorance and the most cost of the ignorance. Meaning, most people don't know their credit score. They don't know what's on their credit report, and they don't know that there's anything they can do to improve it other than be a better person. Right? It's like that subtle personal condemnation. Like, I know my credit is not good. And it's because it gets associated with so many things. But with our Credit Max service, what we've been seeing is average 50 to 150 point increase over that first 30 to 90 days of having our Credit Max repair experts work on their behalf. The company, the CEO of Making Wealth Real Financial, that's the parent company, actually has, is one of the most successful credit repair specialists in the country. So they're RESPA and CROA, Credit Reporting Oversight Act compliant, 100 plus satisfied customers, and spotless on the Better Business Bureau. So that's the first thing that we do. We're able to help them increase their credit score. But one of the reasons that Brian, and by the way, CEO's name is Brian House. If you want to look him up and find him, it's Brian House. With Making Wealth Real. One of the reasons that he felt strongly about having a comprehensive solution was from his years of credit repair felt like, you know, sometimes helping somebody restore their credit was like putting a Band-Aid over a broken bone, meaning if the underlying condition wasn't resolved, it might look good on top, but it's going to stumble. So what's included with Credit Max, you get the free credit reports, personalized disputes for all the bureaus, and then in addition, if there is a person out there that beyond needing errors removed, also needs to rebuild, you know, either by helping with installment credit, revolving credit, or in the case of someone that's a long-term renter, having their rent added to their credit report, that's also a part of the service. And then, you know, chat with the consultants versus that person that's out there trying to go fix credit on their own. You got professionals that go to work and they get stuff done and on schedule, right? Questions on credit? So that's step one. Start working on that immediately. And then one of my favorite things is Smart Credit, which is, you know, it's an additional $20 a month, but especially for people that are looking to actively track what happens in their credit scenario. Smart Credit gives, here, let me show you. This is not in the regular presentation. It's just, it's just something I'm glad to have. But if you think about, go to my MWR site. With Smart Credit, you get the ability to do several things and, you know, get deeper understanding of the more things that are available to you. So if I go to my services and Credit Max, first part of the process is pretty straightforward and simple. We operate under limited power of attorney. So you update your 3 bureau credit reports and driver's license, and they go to work. So this was my first step on December 1st of last year. I uploaded my credit report for the first time, along with my wife's a month later, and been able to track my progress in credit and do some really cool things. So in my case, most of my adult life, my credit score was right around 690. I had decent credit because I didn't even know what went into the credit score, but I did pay my bills mostly on time with a few hiccups. That's what that score says about me, right? Once I started understanding how the rental mix went, and especially once I went to work on my debts, that 690 went to an 810. I think they've got right now, based on how things are going, projected 848, right? And the ability to track how things are going from a money point of view. So if I look at my score tracker, it gives that breakdown of each of the 4 credit scores. So I didn't know, by the way, I didn't know there was a different credit score that's the base score, the one that the automotive industry uses, and the insurance industry, along with hiring risk indicators, meaning, you know, people being making part of their hiring decisions based on the credit score. And it actually breaks down what in your credit report has the factors that make it positive or negative, so that you know what you can do to make it better, right? So it's a combination of explanation and actions on improving. If you're really actively, you know, you're targeting a score. If you know you need to be a 700 or better, it starts to give you guidance on, number one, what your score is, but then gives you the ability to, based on that thing, take action. They do a 120-day action plan in this category, where you get the deep dive breakdown. What's in your credit score, how it's used, what's if we keep going, it actually takes us that next step of, here's what's helping your score. Here are all the things that are good. And thanks to our Equity Max program, and I'll talk about that next, I have been killing off debts like crazy. So at one point, these credit cards, this was $2,000 balance, that was $4,000 balance. Discover was at one point up to 20, we had $50,000 in credit cards that we were able to eliminate using our Equity Max, our elimination program, and that also influences the score. I only have one thing left, and it has a low impact. But that's just moving things across, moving the needle. Does that make sense? Because it's so much better to have the education than just be there saying, my score is not good, I don't even know what my score is, and I don't know how to make it better, versus specific targeted actions to move things forward. Yep.
Questions? And that's one of my goals. No, that I was just getting ready to say that is one of my main goals is to, I guess, to help our younger people that's coming into wanting to be homeowners.
Right?
And they need all of this, not just the credit piece of it, but education on, keeping their credit score up and not falling into the same pits that I've fallen into in the past. Yeah, I've been able to get the car. I've had the good credit scores. I've had the bad ones, but not falling back into that rut.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, not, they say that knowledge is power, but especially being able to apply specific knowledge. So knowing a credit score, because that was one thing I started seeing when Discover and Wells Fargo started telling me my updated FICO scores. Knowing was one thing, but being able to actively do something about it and having someone help on the back end with the things you can't do something about, that's the winning combination, right? And
Right.
then especially from a, a real estate point of view, you go to the next thing with Equity Max. Now, Equity Max is our debt elimination strategy, meaning we put together a plan to help people eliminate their debt and increase their equity quickly, right? And in my
Mhm.
specific case, one of the results, once I knew what my credit score was, and got it up to into the 800 range, is ironic. When I had my first consultation with our wealth counselor, and he was looking with, and Wealth Max is something we'll talk about later, but he was looking at my financial picture, my ins and outs of spending. One thing that I had not processed is how my situation had changed, meaning the house that I live in, we bought in 2004. And at the time in 2004, how old was I? I was late 20s, had okay
Okay.
credit, but we still had the house that we had bought our first home. So this is our third home. So at the time, my debt to income ratio looked kind of crazy. And now over time, that's been a very successful rental property for me. But at the time, I ended up with a 5.75% interest rate and an 80% first and a home equity line of credit, both at 5.75%. And I've been paying that the whole time I've lived here. We've lived here 16 years, right?
Mhm.
And he looked at it, he said, well, Richard, you got an 800 credit score. You have no credit card debt. You should probably refinance your mortgage and get better interest rates.
Mhm.
And I hadn't even thought about it, but I did, and went from, so I had, what did we have, 14 years and 6 months on our mortgage the way that it was, but with the refinance, got a 3% interest rate. I pay about $600 less in bills, but will still, if I stay with the plan that the mortgage company has, will still pay that off in 15 years. It's 15 years, 3% fixed, right? So side benefit,
Mhm.
I didn't, come here thinking, you know what, I'm going to improve my credit and that'll let me get money cheaper, but it did. And
Mhm. Mhm.
overall, that's the strategy. It helps with lowering the debt to income ratio, and it increases the referrals that you're able to get. Because not only, think about this picture you can paint. Tina not only helped me find my home, she helped me get my credit score up so that I could qualify for it. And she helped me set up a plan to pay it off early and increase my equity more quickly. That's
Awesome.
comprehensive. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And let's see, I think I have actually in here. I mean, when you go to the MWR financial um, website, there's literally, all of these people are testimonials where the Financial Edge membership has impacted their lives in particular. But since I can talk about my life, I always like to just point out that I'm not just somebody who represents the solution. So Tequila's that's one of the young ladies on our team, proud to be in business with her. But that was where I was. Like, my debt picture was pretty much, it was based on reality. Our house plus the two rental properties, and then all three of our children spent some time and a lot of money in college. So we had a six-figure college loan debt. Like when you look at it in the rearview mirror,
Mhm.
we paid as much for one kid to go to college as two houses might cost.
Wow.
And so on my creditor's plan, it'd be 24 years in debt to pay it off. And that means, and by this point, mind you, all of my credit card debt is gone. So this is all mortgages and student loans that's remaining. So at one point it
Mhm.
was even worse than this. Now we're down to 9 years and 1 month till debt free, cutting the interest that we'll pay in half and out of debt in 9 years versus 24 years. And then the best thing is not just saving the money, but saving the time, right? Is that
Right.
whole slide up here? But and then just taking that same thing. So saving the 15 years of $230,000, but then also once we get to debt free, being able to put that same amount of money that we were spending into investment vehicles, be $1 million debt free 16 years from now. And that's just based on my income from work, not any of my extra income that I generate in businesses in the side. Make sense?
Yes.
So, and it does plans like that for all kinds of people, all kinds of situations. But now having a plan, you got the increase in equity, and it's just time after time, right? Then the third area is Money Max. Now, Money Max is specific tax strategy for maximizing the cash flow into a home and minimizing the amount that people pay as tax penalty. Because again, you think about, for the average person, the biggest expense in their home is taxes, right? They might look
Right.
around and think it's their bills or their kids, but it's the money that doesn't even make it to the house that causes a cash flow shortage for a lot of people. So one of the things that we do up front is focus on making sure they get the most out of their buying power, make sure they're clear on the tax advantages of owning a home versus renting, and then are able to provide budgeting, saving, and cash flow strategy so that they have a game plan other than the one that they just made up. Or
Okay.
what I say about most people default into their cash flow strategy. So
Mhm.
last item is Wealth Max. So one of the things that has been the biggest benefit for me is having a structure for wealth accumulation and being focused on what I want, because what I actually want, Tina, is to be able to retire at 50. So I'm at 47 right now.
Mhm.
And even as we entered the consultation, it's been one of my ongoing frustrations with my financial planners is that the majority of the wealth that I've accumulated as liquid assets is in my 401k, right? Meaning if I have to access any of that money before I'm 59 and a half, it's heavily penalized and taxed.
Been there,
So,
done that. Got the T-shirt.
so again, with Wealth Max, the one of the things that they include in the calculation. So if best I can describe it, I work with a wealth advisor's name's Eric Elin. Like I said, he was one of the people that said, well, just as you're starting to think about how you'll invest, and was really impressed with how aggressively I was rolling my debt snowball through Equity Max. I also looked at the cost of money, the current and future projected value of my rental income from the two rentals I have, and knowing that one of my projects was wanting to acquire some more rental property, just making room for how all of those would fit into my future income picture. And that's one of the things we talk about. Income is the outcome. And then last but not least, there are additional fees, but for people that come to you with special situations, built into the program are people that specialize in those areas. So for example, when it comes to debt relief from taxes, our Money Max partners have negotiated lien releases, abatements on penalties, compromises, just fresh starts, any of those kinds of things to help people through dealing with the IRS. Because what I find is it's burdensome, you know.
Right.
And then also in the debt settlement. So if you do have people in severe cases, it may have an additional fee beyond what's in the base $80 a month, but at least they're working within a system with pros that can be familiar with their situation to help. And then, it's not only that we're out here, collecting fees and not making sure that there's something in it for you. We do pay daily so that as people decide to take advantage of the Financial Edge membership, the first thing that happens is that as a business owner, so I mean, as an MWR person, just when I started telling people about it, they would sign up for the service. So once I got to the place where three people signed up for the Financial Edge, then my membership is free. So $79, they just don't charge me. And that's, you know, that's good because it keeps that ongoing word of mouth going. And then from a financial point of view, each time someone purchases the membership, they do a $40 referral fee up front to you, and then $10 a month long going. So it's not, I'm not saying that's a lot of money, but you got to think about how many people come to you that will need this and won't be able to do business beyond that until their situation gets better, right? So
Right.
it keeps you in that position where you generate some income if it's nothing more than making up the cost of gas for the grand tour of 285 as you find the right home, $40, right? I mean,
Right.
what did my other partner Angie, who's in real estate, say? You know, somebody they'll get in your car and drive up all the gas and then not have the credit to buy the house.
Right. Well, you know what? That's old school, and that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't get into real estate, because I know, you know, how sometimes how people can be very fickle, but nowadays they recommend that we get you approved first before we drive around 285 and figure out, you know, you don't have the financial means to even buy a home.
Right. And that, I mean, but beyond being pre-qualified, because that's one of those hard sorts that doesn't have to be now, because now you can say, okay, you're not necessarily qualified for what you want right now, but let's go to work on your financial fitness, because you could be.
Right.
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 Right now you're here. It would only take doing some things as we search for the ideal situation to improve what you're able to do and what it would cost you. So it gives that win-win situation where you're improving. Like that's the best story that somebody can say about you, other than she sold me a house. You know, now they can really say on the back end, during the process of buying the house, you restored my credit, helped me increase the equity. So help me pay off what I bought faster, increase my buying power. I got to reduce my taxes and help me settle some of the bad debts and get the loan. So on the client side, they win. And then you have the ability to go beyond the transaction as an agent, meaning, you know, the renters are now the buyers. They will start referring people to you for both sides, meaning I'm sure people shop for agents just like they shop for everything else, but there'll be few people excited to tell somebody that their real estate agent not only helped them get their house, but helped them get their financial house in order. And so, you know, it's one of those win-wins where the only way that there's really a loss is just not participating. So that's, you know, that's the long and short of just building that future with the Financial Edge, helping people get the things that they need to have in place so that they can buy the things that they want.
And maintaining what they have, or what they buy, or what they acquire, that is so important.
Right. It's, you know, it's that transition from having a home and a mortgage to home ownership. Because I'm proud to say that last month with Equity Max and just rolling the snowball, being disciplined about the plan they gave me, what came up next and what got paid off was that second rental property we bought in 2002. So now for the first time, I actually own a house. Like it's
Awesome. It's big difference.
like, it's my house.
Awesome.
Well, I guess that was my quick overview from a real estate perspective. Any questions or any things I can take care of for you today? Oh, and then, that's the other thing. As you know, once you set up, the setup process is quick and easy. You'll be able to do something like a vanity domain. So, you know, you'll get a website that's MWR Financial /Tina or Tina Sales Homes, or however you brand in that way. And whenever you refer somebody to the site, they go click and do the sign up. I'm available to assist, and I'm excited about helping people through the setup process. I say to do that as soon as possible so the experts can start working as fast as possible, because at least two of our areas, the Money Max and Credit Max, you can start to see an impact from that in the first month that they start working with our system. And people, I mean, not you can, people usually do. I know I did.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, let me stop this recording. So thank you for reminding me to record it. So Natasha and Chuck, your requests have been heeded.